Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know, my name is Soraya, and today I will be talking about how I became a multi-hyphenate. For those of you that don't know, I ended up studying theater specifically at my university, and I really thought that I was just going to be an actor. Never truly thought that I would branch out, but college is truly where you find yourself and the different facets of yourself. So I just wanted to elaborate a bit more on how I ended up finding different passions of mine outside of just acting. So, first things first, I thought that I was just going to be a Broadway or film and TV actor. I was always told that, okay, like this is your strength, this is the lane for you. And I pretty much stayed in it. And then once I got to university, I ended up doing a work study where I was able to teach children on the Lower East Side and help prepare them for kindergarten. And it was supposed to be just like this part time job that I did while supporting myself through college. And it ended up being such a fulfilling and rewarding process. And I said, wait, I think I really love teaching. I really love educating. And so I continued it throughout college as much as I could. Of course, the pandemic happened, but I was like, wait, I really, really love teaching children. And like, especially at that age, it's such a great age group to work with. And you really feel like you're making a difference and a huge impact. And so I found myself really wanting to be a teacher. And so after graduating, I dived straight into teaching theater and musical theater while auditioning and seeking out representation. And I consider myself an educator to this day. I also ended up minoring in producing. And I think that came mostly due to my interest in writing, but also just wanting to know how the sausage gets made. How does everything kind of come together outside of just being on stage? I was really interested in the film and TV process of like how do things go in pre-production, post-production, how do you cast? Ended up taking different courses and eventually was like, wait, maybe I should just minor in producing because you're really interested in the casting process, you're interested in the scouting, you're interested in the lighting and the camera work and all of those things. So I ended up minoring in producing. And now I consider myself a producer. I helped actually produce a couple of short films while I was still in university. I joined the club that they had called SPA, which was Student Producers Association, and just really fell in love with the production process. And so to this day, I still feel like I want to be a part of that process, not just, being in front of the screen. Sure, that's great and that's fun and it is rewarding, but I also really love learning how things get made and seeing that process come to life. I think it's such a pride point for folks that are part of that process because you really get to see the evolution of work and how it gets to that final piece. And I find that so, so exciting and so fascinating. I touched on this a little bit also in a previous video, but I really love writing. Never considered myself a writer before the pandemic, even though, I would journal here and there and maybe have some like scene ideas, but I never really wrote anything down like pen to paper. And so during the pandemic, I was able to really sit down and just start writing and having all these really, I felt like great ideas that flowed from me. And of course, eventually putting structure to it. But I really, really enjoyed the writing process of editing and finding new ideas and taking creative liberties and just creating a different world building and really understanding characters and their motivation and finding those different, fun entry points and antagonists and protagonists and things like that. And so I now consider myself a writer as well. And from that idea that I had in 2020, I've now written 2 television series that I'm really proud of. They're still a work in progress and they're not perfect, but I really am proud of the work that I've created. And so I'm proud to call myself a writer. Now, this is something that a lot of my close friends know, but I also do still consider myself a singer. I've actually been singing since I was probably 3. Both of my parents were in church choir, and I started doing musical theater in the 5th grade and continued it until I graduated high school. Then once I got to college, I studied a bit more of just theater, but I still took voice lessons. They offered at my university as well as a way to stay connected to the music and musical theater aspect of it all, and was able to help train my voice so that I could sing different styles. I ended up singing a song that was in Italian, which is really cool. And of course, studying different songs of pop and musical theater, opera, so just having different stylistic choices to this day I think has helped strengthen my voice. And now I do it more so for fun. I love a good karaoke, I love singing a good musical, but I do consider myself a singer as well. That has become more of a fun pastime for me, but it is something that I still enjoy to this day. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but that feels like most of the things that I feel like I self-identify as. You have your day jobs and the things that you're really passionate about as well. And so I feel like it all kind of culminates together and it kind of creates a fully realized version of yourself. I'm excited to see what other interests that I pick up because I really do feel like having different interests has made me more of a well-rounded human being. I talked about that in a previous video, applying to college and feeling like a well-rounded student. But now I feel like I'm finding that version of myself as an adult now, having had all these interests as a person that loves writing, loves acting, loves producing, loves singing, loves teaching, having these different facets of myself and discovering them as you go along and just as you keep on living. So it's really exciting to find these versions of yourself, see how they evolve over time. And so it's exciting to see what other titles I can add to the hyphenates. We'll see what comes along. But as always, thank you for watching. And let me know if you have any questions or have any tips. I don't know if there's any other multi-hyphenates out there, but let me know if you have any, tips and tricks of how to balance it all. I'm always in awe of people that can do it all at the same time. I usually find different pockets. I'm never really doing these all at the same time. So if you have any tips on how to find that balance, I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.